Hello, good morning, good evening, wherever you're joining us from. Hello. If you'd like this translated into Portuguese, we're going to show you how to do that now. The first slide that we're showing is if you're on a laptop computer and you want to translate, you'll push this button so that it translates into Portuguese. If you're joining us from a phone or mobile device, this is how you'll be translating into Portuguese. Welcome to the Convatec Patient Virtual Ostomy Summit, and it's celebrating World Ostomy Day tomorrow, October 2nd. Every 3 years, ostomy organizations around the world celebrate World Ostomy Day. And this year's motto, designated by the European Ostomy Association, is Ostomates' rights are human rights, anytime, anywhere. I was asked by Convatec to be the moderator today of this session, talking about healthy bonds. Healthy bonds in life are all around us. And often when people first get their ostomy, they feel alone and isolated. So we wanted to talk about with some of our panel about these healthy bonds and how ostomates all around the world can create these healthy bonds for themselves. I'm joined with an awesome panel for today. I'm here, Kerri Holman. I'm a certified wound and ostomy nurse, and I'm also the founder of Ostomy RN, helping patients virtually and in person. That's my Ostomy RN handle is below. You can find me on social media. Our second panel person is Lorraine Glover. She's the psychosocial nurse specialist. Wow, that's a mouthful. Oh, I'm sorry. It's Lorena. I apologize. Our first panel person is Lorena Eltz. She is our social media guru, and she's done all the videos that you'll find online. She's president of her local IBD, actually not local, but Brazilian IBD group, and she's got a permanent ileostomy. She's joining us today, and her Instagram handle is below, so check her out. Then now on to Lorraine Glover. Sorry about that. She's our psychosexual nurse specialist joining us today, giving us some tips and tricks on that. She aims to help improve that way that sexuality and sexual mental health really is woven into the medical speak with ostomates. And truly over the medical spectrum for patients, not just ostomates. You can read her and reach her on Instagram at her social media handle below. Our last panelist is Allison Rosen. She is a fierce advocate for ostomates in the United States. She's a stage 2 colorectal cancer survivor and a permanent ileostomate. Sorry, I'm slowing down so you all can understand me. She's also the World Ostomy Day champion. So we are so happy to have her here. We're happy to have all of you here. You can find Allie on her social media handles there below. Before we jump into our panel discussion, Convatec made this awesome video that I'd love to share with all you guys. So we'll roll that and then jump back into the discussion. Thanks.
This is my life now.
This is my life now.
Come on, Maximilian!
And it is going to be amazing.
This is my life now.
This is my life now.
This is my life.
This is my life now.
This is my life now.
We can do, be, and live our life to the fullest.
She is just having a blast swimming right now with her ostomy.
I never thought I'd be my normal self. Turns out I'm a better version of myself.
This is my life now.
I feel so much more powerful in my day-to-day of what I can do. Spending a lot of quality time with my loved ones.
This is my life now with Healthy Bond.
I'm very, very, very grateful for it.
This is my life creating Healthy Bond.
This is my life with healthy bonds.
This is my life with healthy bonds. And my tea.
We believe that when you have a healthy bond with your stoma, you have a healthy bond to life.
Thanks everyone for being here. Thank you, panel. Take a deep breath. That video is awesome. Thank you, Convatec, for having us here. Before we jump in, I also want to tell all the people viewing today, if you have any questions, please make sure you submit those in the chat, and we'll try to get to as many as we can at the end of this session. So I'd love to start with Allison and just give me a little recap on how that video made you feel and kind of your journey that you've been through.
It made me feel like I'm not alone. Sorry, I didn't get emotional. I've seen it before, but I think seeing it now really just makes me really emotional, because I'm, a colon cancer survivor. I'm on a permanent ileostomate. I had 2 temporary ones before I made my permanent. And it makes me realize that I have come so far in my journey, and I want to just help others. So I'm so happy to be here to talk about my journey as an ostomate and hopefully, again, help others.
Lorena, do you have some thoughts about the video?
This video is wonderful, is so empowering, and I just introduced myself. So I represent Convatec Brazil today on the internet, and I am diagnosed with Crohn's disease since I was a child. So I see other childs in this video, and this is so cute and so emotional. And I'm very happy and excited about the event today. I'm really happy to be here.
Thanks. Thank you for being here. We're so happy you both are here. Lorraine, how did that Healthy Bonds video impact you?
Well, what I loved about it was hearing patients. It's so important, I think, in the medical profession. We listen to patients, and there were patients there smiling, all different ages, different sexualities that we could see. And what I really liked was the strapline. Someone said, "A better version of myself." Because I imagine it's a spectrum of how you feel. I can only imagine that, not being an ostomate. But I want to, have empathy and understanding when I talk to patients. And hearing tonight I'm in England, so it is nighttime. Hearing what you've got to say, and I'm looking forward to it, and helping share this information worldwide. So important. So it's a great opportunity.
I think what struck me is the healthy bonds. When you have a healthy bond and a healthy relationship with your stoma, it launches you into the next level. And that just really hit home. Allison and Lorena, do you feel like you have a healthy bond with your stoma?
Yeah, I do now, but I didn't always. And I've talked about this many, many times. It took me a long time to get to where I am now, happy with my body, willing to show it, because I've had this permanent ostomy for 5 years now. And it's not like I, wasn't, I was happy I had it. It made my quality of life so much better, but I never would necessarily show it to the internet or show it to people or necessarily openly talk about it. I talked about colorectal cancer, but I didn't really talk about my ostomy so much. Once I got to the point of accepting it and loving my body and realizing it made my life so much better and I could do everything I did before and more, then those healthy bonds were created. And I really started to share with others because I knew I wasn't alone in how I was feeling.
Yeah, I think is this first question. I cannot answer this without first talking about my colostomy surgery that I had at the age of 12. So I had my surgery almost 10 years ago, and I wish I had more access to people who also live there with their bags, because most ostomates in Brazil still hide it and exclude themselves. So when I was a teenager, the hardest thing for me was to find someone who would understand me or was going through the same thing. And knowing basic information such as what is it for, knowing things like this could have made my understanding easier. So I wish I had that support to find 3 people talking about it on the internet to encourage me. And I would like hearing the phrase, I know what's going through, would have helped me. Yeah.
Yes. Lorraine, what are 2 things that you would, what do you think 2 things are important that patients should know at the beginning of early in their journey, creating that healthy bond that they should know as a medicator or part of the medical team for a patient?
I think the communication side, to be able to talk to the team looking after you. I know that the medical model, people can feel embarrassed themselves addressing sexuality for many reasons. And that might be about their own issues, let alone the patient they're caring for. So in fact, if you can communicate early on in the journey that at any point help is available, and you can then maybe signpost, give people advice on safe websites, organisations. Even today, seeing that video and some of the intimacy work that Convatec have done is a great thing to be able to do because it's sharing that information. So communication is really important and start that early. I think the medical profession are poor at addressing sexuality because it's all about the disease. But healthy bond with your ostomy and a healthy bond with your own sexuality is an important part of your sexual well-being and living life well and forming that bond. So communication is so important and keeping it open throughout a period of time. It may be early on in your journey, you don't want to have that discussion, but later on you may do.
Love that point. Love it. Allison, if you're thinking back to some of the first months of getting your ostomy, what do you wish you would have asked or known? If you can think back to that time.
So much.
Oops, I think we might have lost Allison, so she'll be back with us. But Lorena, when you think back to your first months of having an ostomy, what question do you wish you would have asked or known?
Oh, that's hard. I have been living with this for over 15 years. And because of this, I learned a lot. And I wanted to share these experiences, so I created a YouTube channel and Instagram profile where I talk everything about my life. And in my job, in my videos, I want to take care of children and youth with IBD, creating projects and bringing information to them. I think that's it.
So by sharing your story, it helped you continue on your journey.
Yeah.
Awesome. Allison, we lost you a little bit there. We'll come back. There's always technical issues. That's okay. Allison, tell us about some things in the first couple months that you wish you would have known or asked about.
Sure. I had different options for surgery. And I was very much like, I don't want an ostomy. I don't want anything external. I'm single. I just don't want it. And there was no conversation for me about the differences between the surgical options and quality of life long term. I was young, obviously, and I was just very much like, I don't want something external. And there was no conversation to have about that. And if I had been able to talk to someone else that had an ostomy, that could tell me about their quality of life, then I think it would have changed a lot for me, because I had many, many surgeries that led to my final, ileostomy permanently. And really, it would have saved me time, anguish, mental health breakdowns, because I had a lot along the journey of dealing with my cancer and my ostomy. So I think I would have educated myself and asked for the resources that are out there. No one gave me any resources. They just told me, it's either an ostomy or it's in a J pouch. And I went to the internet, and that's not necessarily the best place unless you know where to go. So I think websites like United Ostomy Association of America, talking to another ostomate, support groups specifically through UOAA, online resources maybe on Facebook or Instagram, or like just some social media person that I could have watched that was showing how living with an ostomy improved their life. Because I thought I had a negative stigma at the beginning, and that has totally changed now that I've had one permanently and been able to live my life to the fullest.
Well, you and Lorena have certainly jumped on board with social media and brought a lot of awareness, which we're all thankful for. That's awesome. Lorraine, I think you can piggyback on that and really talk about how having even specifically your profession involved early on in the patient's journey could really help the longevity of their care.
Yeah. Whatever gender someone identifies as, I think there's a lot of taboo and shame for people anywhere around sex. So if early on in that multidisciplinary team, you can bring in someone who's been trained and feels competent to talk about sex. And I'm aware that culture, and there are people watching this from all around the world, and sexuality varies. I remember going to China once and saying to a urologist, talking about sexual function or sexuality with your patients. And they said, we don't do it for anybody 50 and above, they're old. And I was shocked. So culture has a part to play. There are lots of taboos. So if we can early on, at the time of diagnosis, for whatever reason you're having your ostomate formed, is talk about sexuality as part of the care. It's holistic. The World Health Organization says we should be free of disease that affects sexual and reproductive behavior. So that we need to address it early on. We should be addressing sex education early on. And that's just part in healthcare too. Let's break these taboos doing things like this. Yeah. It would be interesting if people were asked about their sexual issues, here today, or not. So.
Yeah, I agree. I think it just goes back to we had a session earlier talking about advocacy and really asking the questions early on in your journey, and advocating for yourself. Really, it speaks highly of it. And having specialists like Lorraine in the room to talk to and pick their brain about your concerns is really, really important.
And
Lorraine, I realized.
Sorry.
Yeah, I realized that we didn't kind of get a little bio on you. If you want to give us, we're jumping around here a tiny bit, but if you want to tell us a little bit more of, expand a little bit more about what you do with patients in the hospital and outpatient too.
Yeah, I ended up falling into this job, having trained as a nurse, and then I was doing a trial with a tablet that became Viagra, and it was just a pot of tablets I was giving out, and people were starting to talk to me about their sex life, and I was really embarrassed and felt awkward, couldn't use some of the words very easily. They didn't spill out of my mouth, like masturbation or self-pleasuring, whatever words you use. And then as I did it more and more, I became more comfortable with it, and then thought, this is part of healthcare. So actually, I am in some multidisciplinary teams, and I'm the one saying, what's happening about relationships? Actually, it doesn't matter if someone's single. Let me see the patient. And it's very variable as to who is almost allowed to see me. who's making that decision to have someone like myself see the patient? I think everyone has a right to have the access. So that's why I feel very passionate now with the experience I've had over the years to help other healthcare professionals to take the step, to encourage patients to ask their healthcare professionals, and just help spread that word. And I think things are changing. Like we've got tonight, today. It's wonderful to have sexuality being addressed, to hear patients talk. It's so much better than it has been. And it can only hopefully get better while we raise awareness. And social media is a great way. I'm just not as savvy as you younger ones. You're so Lorena. I mean, you are cool. Fabulous.
They both are really cool and inspiring. Lorena, what if you think back also to early on? I know you were a little bit younger and now you're an adult, you're 21. What were some key challenges that you faced in finding support that you needed?
Yeah, now I need to mention mental health because it was hard to understand that I needed to take care of all areas of my life, including my mental health, to get well with my Crohn's disease. It wasn't clear for me. We believe that taking the medication and undergoing the treatment is enough. But as time goes by, I realized that it wasn't enough. I needed to be well with my family, with my job, do things that brought me pleasure, in addition to taking care of my body, my mind, and my diet, so that everything could flow easily. It's a step-by-step thing, and meaning one will complement the other and all is one in the end. The internet has helped me with that, showing people broadcasting their daily challenges. And I think the hardest part as an ostomy woman was seeing my body valid and capable of doing what I wanted, and understand that I didn't have to stop doing the things I liked. I just need to adapt and create my life hacks to follow my way. And when I was very young, achievements like being able to travel with my friends without worries or cleaning my bag in the school were very important steps in my life. And in Brazil, usually women like to show their bodies, especially in the summer. And I felt invisible and incapable of being happy with the body I had. And after all, I couldn't find the inspirations that look like me on the internet. Whenever I found someone like me, they weren't Brazilian, they were from the rest of the world, and that somehow made me feel distant. And that's why I decided last year to post pictures of my body with the ostomy bag. And if they didn't have Brazilian women before, now they do. And I believe that the representation is the beginning of this path that needs to be run.
Yeah. Thank you for those thoughts. Allison, I'd love to jump to you just to talk about, Lorena uses social media and YouTube. What are other resources that you use and you would encourage patients to use to dive a little bit deeper into their ostomy journey?
I think the first is to start out small and then maybe go larger as far as platforms. So one-on-one, if you can find someone that will match you one-on-one with an ostomate, to talk to them. So you sort of get a little bit of feeling about what they went through. You realize you're not alone. And then there are so many communities out there. I started I had colon cancer. So I started in the colon cancer community. and Facebook has groups that you can get on that are specific for ostomies. I started there when I didn't know if I could go swimming. For some reason, I had it in my mind I couldn't go swimming. So I posted in there asking if I could go swimming. And basically, I couldn't get in the water or really get it too wet when I had my staples. But after that, after I'd healed, obviously I could, go in the water and go swimming and whatnot. And so I got that, simple questions like that. I started asking on some Facebook forums, and you have to go to ones that are through reputable groups. Like, not all groups are created equal. So I think, through some of the national organizations like United Ostomy Association, I know there's an ostomy group in Canada. There's ostomy groups in every country. So find out through them where the online forums are. And then, besides Facebook and one-on-one, support groups. I attend, there's 4. I live in Houston, Texas, and there's 4 in Houston. And I used to go in person, but now they're virtual. So we can have people attend from all over the world. You don't have to be from Houston. You don't have to be from the US. We accept people from all over into our support group. And then like Lorena, I went on TikTok. TikTok's a little bit different than some other social medias. I was bored during COVID, and I was like, what else can I do for advocacy? I've really done a lot of showing my ostomy off. So I just started, looking at videos, and I posted some, and I posted my first picture or video, dance, whatever you want to call it, probably a dance, with my ostomy. And the support and the feedback and the people reaching out that were ostomates was huge. And it really just reiterated the fact that what I was doing was so important, and I wasn't alone, and they needed to see other people that looked like them with ostomies. And so it's very much similar to what Lorena said. Helping others helped me heal and love my body even more than I did before. So it just is super healing to connect with people. And on TikTok, you can connect with people all over the world. So I've talked to someone from Africa, I've talked to someone from Canada, from England, from Sweden, from all over. And ostomates are ostomates. No matter where you are, you have an ostomy, you have that in common. You can talk. It might be 8 a.m. my time and 8 p.m. their time, but that connection you have doesn't matter where you live or who you are. It's real, and it's helped me heal and sort of spread some of the things that I went through to others, and getting the feedback that it's helped people is huge for me. So I keep doing it, and I'm going to keep doing it until people tell me, yeah, whatever. But I don't think they will, because you can constantly learn.
Yeah, I think something that we touched on in the last session was the pandemic. There has been a couple amazing things, and I think connection and the bonds that have come out between ostomates, because we can virtually connect worldwide, has been absolutely amazing and really cool. And you two are evidenced by it. So bravo, or I should say brava, probably. Lorraine, I think you can maybe speak to the medical side of this, and what challenges, I can also chime in too. What challenges do you see some of your patients getting connected with these resources? What do you advise, and how do you see patients taking that, dipping their toe, especially in your field, dipping the toe to find out more information?
I actually think patients at the moment are the people bringing about the change, because you're empowering the healthcare professionals to be thinking about, hang on a minute, this is what patients are flagging up they want help with. We need to start changing. So the power of the patient cannot be underestimated, and we have to listen to that. I would like to see somebody qualified and trained in discussing sex in all MDTs, multidisciplinary teams, which I am not sure if they happen all around the world or not. But I would imagine there will be a surgeon, oncologist, a clinical nurse specialist, maybe physio, and then there's someone discussing sexuality. So I'd like to see that happen. I think what you said as well, Ali, about having true representation And you said about how it was true. What you're showing on TikTok and what Lorraine is doing is real. And we've got to dispel myths and misconceptions within health. Well, we haven't got time in a busy clinic. You can take the step to make the change. So, and it's real. You know, these are real issues. No longer is it a textbook thing that may not be being addressed, or it's in a guideline and it's being ignored. It's real. So I think all of us here today have got a role in that change and disseminating our knowledge and expertise, whether we are a patient or we're a healthcare professional with an interest. And there's a website, the Sexual Advice Association. I'm involved with it. It's a small charity in the UK. We get lots of hits actually from around the world, and particularly in America. And it's free. We've got pages of female, male, trans information. And there's a questionnaire people can complete. We haven't got it in different languages, which is not good. We need to change that. There are things we can improve on, but we need to flag that up and make it happen. But the questionnaire gives you ideas of questions you can ask your healthcare professional, or what sort of things you can try and do yourself. And it's a safe resource. So there's a lot we can do. There's a lot we can get better at, but raising awareness is fundamental.
I hope we'll put that link, Lorraine, to that website up in the chat for all of our viewers today. That's a perfect thing, an example of a resource that we can provide to our patients. And I want to go again to this theme, and tomorrow's World Ostomy Day. We'll talk about that later and ask you guys what you're going to be up to tomorrow. But how can tomorrow, what is so special about tomorrow that will help us raise awareness for the support? What kinds of things are you guys going to be doing for World Ostomy Day? Allison, you want to go first?
Sure. I'm meeting. We have a Houston Ostomy Association. I'm meeting them in the morning. I'm the champion, the UOA World Ostomy Champion.
You are the world champion.
I'm going to be going live to kick off World Ostomy Day. So I'm going to be on their Facebook page, and I'm going to be with the Houston group. We're meeting in a park, and I'm going to say a few words about, ostomies, and just celebrate life and living and being an ostomate and being free to go for a walk. And we're going to walk around the park. Well, the idea is to, do the virtual 5K. And then after that, I'm going to go and get my nails done. I'm going to go treat myself. I'm just going to treat myself and make it a day of celebrating living. And some of the simple things I haven't been able to do because of COVID, I'm going to do. And then later that night, I'm going to be on UOA's Instagram live, answering any questions, having a candid discussion with other ostomates. And I really encourage you, if you're not on, you don't follow United Ostomy Association of America on Instagram, do it. I know every year they have someone that answers questions, but I am an open book. I will talk about anything, the good, the bad, the ugly that has to do with ostomies, and I want people to come and ask questions. I'll even talk about sexual health, because that's an issue that I had to deal with. So tomorrow is all ostomy, and then in between some self-care.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Lorena, what are you up to tomorrow and raising awareness?
I think it's surreal to think that there are people all over the world going through the same thing as us. I think this event can change lives, and I answer to one word, and one word is knowledge, because knowledge transforms our lives, and we are nothing without it. A great example of it is this event that allows us to help not the ostomate public, but also all people who don't know about the stoma. And due to the lack of the information, people tend to be judgmental regarding these issues. And information is our main tool right now to fight prejudice. We need to keep talking about it. And here in Brazil, I don't see many young people talking about it. They feel ashamed and don't show their bodies with the ostomy bag. Don't talking about having IBD. They hide it a lot. And this is so sad. My biggest dream is everyone, young and children, they start to feel free to be themselves and talk about their lifestyle, even with Crohn's disease or other conditions. I believe when we normalize our daily routines and talk more about our lives, then we will be happy in the tradition of self-care. So I think that's it. This is so important.
Absolutely. World Ostomy Day tomorrow is huge. Lorraine, what are you going to be doing to celebrate tomorrow?
Well, I am going
and
to
also, raise awareness.
I think social media, I've got to improve. I'm getting fired up by everybody else on this site. I might even have to get at some point. But,
I was going to say yes.
Knowledge is really important. I've got things like my nice velvet vulva, and if we know about anatomy and how things work, that helps to spread the word. It's great to normalise discussion. And I've always said I've got stuff beyond the screen that I can bring in, and I like sharing it on social media. So I'm going to do a bit more tomorrow around ostomy and ostomate. Watch this space. You fired me up to do it. So
I know. I was thinking there's something going to be happening. We've got 2 social media experts, Lorraine, and I think that you can piggyback or teach us some stuff about posting for World Ostomy Day.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
Anything else that you guys would like to chime in on, and then we'll go to a Q&A and hear from some of the people watching in today. Anything else one resource or something that you would like that you found helpful in your journey?
I think that finding a good quality ostomy nurse or anywhere in the world, even if they're not local, was so, so important. I had access. I was very lucky. I had access to an ostomy nurse that was amazing, that I went to every day for a month until I found an appliance that worked for me. But not everyone has access to that. So call all the companies. They all have, most of the time when you call a company, they have an ostomy nurse that answers the phone and will give you some hints and send you samples. And it took a long time until I found something that worked for me. And it was an ostomy nurse, I think at Convatec, that gave me the idea to eat marshmallows to slow my bowels down.
Totally. Yeah.
I had no idea about that. No one told me. So I think finding the reputable sources, there might be a list of ostomy nurses local to you that you can get from your hospital or even online. Those are the people that are going to be your best friend.
The UOAA has a list of nurses as well.
Awesome.
And I agree with that point.
I agree too. In my
Lorena, go
acceptance process was more internal because I had a lot of support and help from the doctors and nurses and my family too. So the hardest thing was for me to accept myself. And I don't know if I was clear in my message, but I just wanted to say that there are many people going through the same thing as us. we are not alone, and I love the messages I get, and somehow posting on the internet about my life makes me feel more comfortable. It's an exchange.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you both for sharing your stories with us. Lorraine, how about you? One more tip or trick before we go to questions.
I think communication, if I can encourage one person today to talk about it with a patient, which will improve their life, that's my tip. Just make that step. Don't be shy. Don't be embarrassed. Take the step. The more you do it, the easier it will become, and it will help lots of people.
I love that. I love that. So we'll get to questions because I think there's a ton coming in. Everyone wants to hear from you guys. This first question comes in from Lenora, and it's asked, why don't doctors prepare you mentally for these types of surgeries? They know more about the physical part and not the mental part. I think, who wants to start on that one?
I mean, I'm happy to talk about it. I just had talked to other people ahead of time a little bit about having any surgery, major surgery. And I asked on my first appointment for a psychologist. I had to ask. So I really tell people, you have to be your own best advocate, because just like was said earlier, you have to treat the mind, body, soul. Like, it's not just you have surgery, you're done. There's a lot of psychological aspects to it, especially with an ostomy. So like, I'm not a medical provider, but I know that I have to ask. So I step up, and when I need something, I make sure to ask. And, that's the only advice I really have. Ask for that help because it's there. And a lot of times I think the hospitals and physicians forget that, it's mental as well as physical.
Lorena or Lorraine, do you have anything?
I think the mental health side of anyone's care is often underestimated. It's about physical and curing. We're trying to get worldwide, aren't we? Mental health being addressed more. So we've got to try and normalise that discussion, and hopefully it will improve. But we've just got to carry on talking about why we need to address mental health, so patients don't feel ashamed. And healthcare professionals see it as part of care. I think it's been too taboo for so long.
Yeah.
Lorena?
Oh, no, that's it. I think that's it.
Okay. You talked about mental health earlier and how you struggled with it. So it's something that you dealt with too. So thank you for sharing how you struggled with it. So everybody does at some point. I think the pandemic has brought to light and accepted a little bit more that all people have mental health challenges. And so it's okay to ask for help. And I liked Allison's point about advocating for it. It is more common to ask for it and ask for a mental health counselor. So hopefully that answers your question, Lenore. Next question is anonymous, coming from, we're not sure where, but it's how do you mentally cope with the physical change of your body? How have you done that?
A good
Allison,
question.
you want to start? Yeah.
Sure. It's a great question. So my body changed a lot. When I was going through my treatment, I was 80 pounds. And after I got my ostomy in my body, I gained a little bit of weight here, then I lost a little bit of weight, but my body just was very different. I think you look good, you feel good. And so for me, I found clothing that made me feel good. I would get dressed every day. I put makeup on every day. I would go to work, and I found clothes that fit my new body. You can't dress. I mean, you can grieve your old body, which I definitely grieved my old body for sure. But once I got to a point of acceptance, then I found clothes that I loved. I can wear dresses a lot more easier because they don't suffocate my ostomy. So everyone's like, why do you like dresses so much? And, the ones that know me know why, but the other ones I'm like, I just love a good dress. So like when I get up, I find clothing that makes me feel good. I put makeup on, I do my hair, and it just makes me happier. And again, it was a process to get to that point. It wasn't until I met other cancer survivors with scars and other body image issues that I realized I wasn't alone, and they helped me name my ostomy, and then the acceptance started. So my ostomy's named Phil, and Phil and I go everywhere together, obviously, because we're attached.
Lorena, how have you dealt with the physical change?
I was very young, so I had to accept myself from the inside out first. It was a little difficult to accept the beginning, but now I'm trying, and I'm trying to inspire other people, and it's a journey. It's hard.
But you're both persevering.
And I think
Lorraine. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
With body, the change with body. Hearing what you've both just said is actually what you wear underneath. That actually with the bags or covers, or whether they're opaque, whether you wear. I've seen some gorgeous, sexy ostomate underwear when I've been various places in the country, or nice silky fabrics that make you feel good underneath. That's a really important part, that you know how you feel. Your outer self isn't showing it, or you may want to if you're in Brazil, listening to Lorena. But actually, wearing sexy things, if you want to feel like that, if you want a day where you don't want to, then don't. No one's making you have to. But I think that change in body image and shape, you've got to empower yourself in some ways to do some exploration, to find out what works for you, to make you feel good. And everyone's individual with that. So I would encourage that. Yeah.
Continuing on that, we had another question, Lorraine, and it said, how do I find resources on sexual support? Radiation caused some sexual dysfunction. So do you have any advice on resources for that?
Well, certainly in the UK, but you can access them worldwide, which is the beauty of the internet. We have charities here, the Macmillan charity. We've got an ulcerative colitis and Crohn's charity, that they've got fact sheets often on their websites where they will have information about sexual dysfunction related to radiation, surgery, whatever that is. So I'm more than happy to try and direct people if there's any specifics, just get in touch. But I would say, whatever your disease area, I know tonight we're talking about World Ostomy Day, and for whatever the cause of your ostomy is, there are resources around, but it's just knowing where they are. So your national charity may often have some fact sheets on their website.
Yes, there's a lot of resources. I think we'll be putting resources in the chat. So be sure to check those out, those links out to all our people who are with us today. One of the next questions I think goes to Allison and Lorena is, how do you tell a companion or a significant other about your ostomy? And have you had that conversation with them? And what did it sound like?
Yeah. So I had my I was dating someone before I had my ostomy, and then we broke up, and then I was single when I had my ostomy surgery. And so the next person I dated after that, I didn't tell them. I'm more open about my cancer. So I told them about the cancer, and we had gone on a few dates, and I knew that eventually, like, intimacy or like some form of hugging or touching was going to happen. And I just clammed up when they even put their arm around me. I clammed up because I hadn't told anybody. It was the first person I'd been, I wanted to be intimate with or I dated since I had my surgery. And so I clammed up and it was awkward and weird and he left and I had, a little bit of a mental breakdown where I was crying. And then I went and I talked to my psychologist and she's like, you just have to tell them. You just have to tell them. So the next day I called this person. I was like, listen, I'm really sorry that I was so awkward and you had to see that. And he's like, what did I do? I'm like, it's not you, it's me. I have something called an ostomy and I explained what it was. And I was like, I was scared you were going to touch it. And I hadn't explained anything to you. So it would have been weird if we were kissing and then all of a sudden you felt something on me. And so after I explained it a little bit more, he was like, it is no big deal. My grandfather had one and I helped him change it. And
oh my gosh.
That was the first person that I dated after I had my surgery. And it was just like, I sensed a relief. And, he didn't necessarily work out, but I have dated people since. And I'm much more open about telling people before it gets to that, don't touch me sort of phase. Because, they think they did something wrong and it's not them, it's me. So now that I'm much more comfortable, I tell people and it's like, take it or leave it. This is me. If you don't like it, see ya. If you do, great. Like there's nothing wrong with living a normal life with intimacy and everything else with this ostomy. So that first experience really shaped my confidence in being able to tell people, partners or companions about it.
Lorena, do you want to answer?
Oh, yeah, I think I tried to be transparent. I'm single, but I had a lot of support with my family and with all people that ask me about the ostomy. I just be myself and all the difficult and not so hard parts of having an ostomy. But I believe that is important talk about it even when it's hard to do it. It's hard, and in this is what I'm going and I'm doing more and more and in the internet in my videos, so making things more common to help people to talk more about it.
Yes. Lorraine, I think that both of them touched on something you said earlier about communication and the intimacy piece. Any other advice on bridging that gap or making that leap?
Yeah, I think, as you said just now as well, Lorena, it's hard, but as you do it more, and Allison's already expressed that, actually, she has done it more, it's become easier. And actually, any relationship, it's about the people. It's not about Phil. It's about you, Allison. And actually, your beauty, your personality, and the same for you, Lorena, that's what people will get attracted to, not your ostomate. And people forget that, it becomes much the focus of them. But actually, when people are getting to know people, it's about the person and the personality and the music you like and the dancing you may do, or, the social stuff that if you're confident and the healthy bonds are there, you will do social stuff because you feel confident. So, yeah, again, highlights communication and talking. The more you do it, the easier it will become. And it is hard. I'm not saying it's easy, but you need someone there to help you with it. Like you got in touch with a psychologist and said, hey, I need some tips here. I sometimes say to people, let's script. What would you say? How would you feel before you go on a date? So they've got some framework and it's not as scary, because if you're not relaxed, you can't get aroused. So it's sort of, it doesn't help you. You want to be able to kiss and touch and feel relaxed, to get aroused and to, have some intimacy. So it's, you've done a grand job doing that talking, girls. Yeah, carry on.
Yeah, it's a big emotion, feeling that. I think some of the people writing in have talked about a couple other emotions, like feeling alone and feeling angry. And those are normal feelings. It's the whole process. But Lorena and Allison, did you feel alone at one time? Did you feel angry ever? Have you? And can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, I think grieving the body that I had, grieving the life that I had, sad, lonely, mad. I mean, I went to kickboxing a lot, and I couldn't really kick as much as I'd like to. I punched more so, but really like trying to find outlets to express that anger, that grief, and all of that. It's like there's so many different levels, but I will stress again, it wasn't until I met another ostomate and had a conversation with them, and we both were feeling the same thing, mad, grieving the body and sad, but knowing I wasn't alone in those feelings, which everyone that's writing in, you're not alone. I promise you're not alone. That's normal. And over time, you will get better. I think finding the outlets that you love to do, the things you really, really care about, trying to find what makes you happy will make some of that anger and grief and sadness go away.
Yeah, I think in the beginning is lonely and it's sad. And people used to share this feeling with me on the internet. So yes, as Allison say, it's stressed up, but it's important to remember you are not alone. You have the internet, you have the also my profile and Allison profile. So
yes, I agree. You're not alone. It's okay to feel alone. It's okay to feel angry.
Yeah.
But there are so many people out there that will love you and help you and get you through this. So don't be afraid to reach out. I have a big couple questions. Lorena, lots of people are wanting to know what you're studying, if you're studying anything. I think that applies to school or, okay.
Yeah, I studying a journalism course, but my job is on the internet now. So, but I'm studying.
Very cool. All right, let's get to a couple more questions. We only have 3 minutes left. This is such a great discussion. I hope all the people with us today are getting some stuff out of here. Let's see. When would be a good time for the patient to address a Q&A about sexual behavior and experiences? Pre-op, post-op, or maybe earlier, or should it be later? Lorraine, do you want to jump on that one to start?
Well, definitely pre-op. It should definitely happen pre-op.
I agree.
Well, I would almost say at the time of a diagnosis, because if you're sowing that seed early on, for example, an IBD or colorectal cancer, we know it's going to impact on sexuality. Let's address it right at the very beginning. And knowledge is empowering. And so, but I think it should definitely be pre-op, because that may have a big decision on where the stoma is formed. Gives us healthcare professionals a great opportunity to address the subject whilst we're discussing pre-operative management, so very early on, sooner the better. My motto, sooner the better, the wetter the better. I'm a great fan of lube. That's another nice Yeah.
I think I would answer that question is contact Lorraine and get her involved in your care early on so that she could answer some of your questions. But that's a great answer, Lorraine. We have about 1 more minute. Let's ask one more question. How do I adapt to food? Who can help me with food? I might answer that one. Check if your multidisciplinary team has a nutritionist, a registered dietitian. There are many on social media that you can reach out to hear and find out what food will work with you. Each person is different. I know Allison and Lorena can speak to that. Some foods make them a little more, their intestines a little more angry. Some don't bother people. So it's a case by case basis. I would encourage you to reach out to your healthcare providers for a referral. I am going to close out this session. I just want to thank all of our panel. I am so honored to be part of this World Ostomy Day and this patient summit. This is so wonderful, and I hope everyone's glad that they joined us today. Thank you, Lorraine. Thank you, Lorena and Allison.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you guys, and thank you, Convatec, so much for organizing this and having us here today. Happy World Ostomy Day to everyone out there, and we'll see you soon.